Hello and welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of sports. And when we filmed our Summer of the Wide Receiver video, we wondered who was going to be the next big wideout to receive a contract extension. And after months and months of deliberating and bridge burning and bridge repairing, Deebo
It's been a
Samuel
long road.
Deebo Samuel has signed a 3-year, $71.5 million extension to stay a San Francisco 49er for the foreseeable future. So, Tim, you ready to cover it?
Yeah, it's been a long time for this one. There's been a lot to this saga, but it finally comes to an end, and it's definitely an interesting contract to look at. So let's run it.
Yeah, the negotiations have been in the works for months on this deal because there was trade requests and Deebo saying, I'm not coming back. And then I'm
All
coming
sorts
back.
of rumors in terms of where he was going to end up as soon as that trade request thing started and whatnot. So there was a lot of talk that that they weren't even going to get to this point, that Deebo was going to be somewhere else entirely. But all comes to end well if you're a 49ers fan.
All's well ends well, I guess.
Yes, and he actually ends up back on the team, which, I mean, for the 49ers, absolutely the best thing that they could have done.
And then Deebo ends up $71.5 million richer.
Not a bad deal for him either. So
the actual dimensions of the contract, it's worth up to $73.5 million. $58.1 million of that is guaranteed, and the average annual value is $23.5 million, which slots right in between DK Metcalf's extension, which we discussed in the Summer of the Wide Receiver video, and Terry McLaurin. So two wide receivers in Deebo Samuel's draft class, and he kind of fits right in the middle. So I think that's very fair for him, especially what Deebo Samuel brings to the table in the San Francisco 49ers offense, like what he did last year. He essentially created his own position, which was something completely new. He combined the wide receiver and the running back. This is like a wide back, and quite literally ran with it.
Yeah, I mean, the most interesting thing about him and the way that the 49ers played him is you've seen this kind of attempted in certain fashions before, but Deebo is the first one to be really effective with it. And he put in really substantial work, both receiving and rushing for them, especially with the unique attack that the 49ers bring that is rather run heavy. It allowed them to bring a whole lot of different packages in and different types of runs that changed things up, which then opened up more of the traditional run game for him. So he definitely helped down the stretch with the way that he played. But I mean, once again, that's the whole reason why he's worth as much money as he is. He's an incredibly versatile guy, explosive. He is one of the best in the league, in my opinion, in making something out of nothing. You saw that in so many of his highlights and throughout last season of the amazing plays that he was able to make just by getting the ball in his hands. And when you have a playmaker like that,
Mr. Do Everything for San Francisco, you don't see many wide receivers not named Cooper Kupp tally up almost 1,800 scrimmage yards last year, but Deebo Samuel did that with 1,400 receiving and 365 on the ground. 14 total touchdowns, over half of them coming on the ground. So I think it's a real testament to Kyle Shanahan for seeing what they have in Deebo Samuel and drawing up an offense.
Well, yeah, utilizing him to the best of his abilities. They really got the most out of him as possible. You look at that mark of 8 rushing touchdowns. It's like, from a wide receiver, that's kind of unheard of. I mean, you have a lot of like fast guys in the league that end up getting like quite a bit of jet sweeps or stuff like that, but most of them do not find pay dirt nearly as much as what Deebo was able to do on the ground, and that just proves his explosiveness and shiftiness out in the open field.
Well, it's not even like he was like a jet sweep kind of guy. Yeah, sure, they used him on.
Oh, they played him out of the backfield plenty too.
Yeah, they just straight up played him in the backfield as your traditional running back. You know, hey, you want to go out wide and run all sorts of routes, the entire route tree, and catch passes and be one of the best wide receivers. Okay, fine, but you're also a very serviceable running back in San Francisco's rushing attack. So
yeah,
he was first team All-Pro for a reason. He was one of the league's best and more than deserving. I actually thought he was going to get paid a little bit more, seeing how like DK and Terry and AJ Brown were paid. I thought he was going to get a little bit more.
You could definitely make that
25 million, but
that he could have been upwards of 25 and above. But I mean, welcome to sort of the common middle ground that they had to find, because clearly it wasn't just like head over heels, like, oh, we just got to throw as much money at him as possible.
Yeah,
So,
it wasn't a
I mean,
blank check situation, but they
yeah,
definitely were able to find that sweet spot and get that deal done. And now I think for the future, the San Francisco 49ers offense is going to look very interesting because it is now the Trey
yeah.
Lance era at quarterback. Because
How is that? Yeah, how that's going to look is going to change drastically, and we don't necessarily know what style of football they're truly going to go with, depending on what it looks like Trey Lance's strengths are. We haven't been able to see a ton of that
I
yet, and how Deebo fits into that as well as the rest of their offense, because they were always this last year obviously a very prominent rushing team. But I know with Trey Lance and his arm strength, I know they're going to want to throw the ball more and try to push the ball more downfield, get a little high tempo in there. And it's just a matter of how all of that fits in. Will they continue to try to utilize him in the rushing game? Because I know we obviously mentioned of, like, I'm sure they probably will, but with the type of consistency is going to be, I think, the big question.
yeah,
Because
we've
that's a
done
physical game.
We've done plenty of scouting reports on Trey Lance on this channel about what he brings to the table, his natural athleticism.
Yeah.
I was a big Trey Lance believer even back in the 2021 draft in our
Yeah.
quarterbacks video there and our mock draft video there. I have always been a big Trey Lance believer, and I think you're going to see
It's time for him to prove you
you're going
right.
to see
That's his
more
time.
like of the creativity of Kyle Shanahan, the more unorthodox offense, more things that we've never seen before. I think it's going to be even more magnified now because you have a stronger armed, more athletic, more mobile quarterback
Yeah.
with Trey
I think
Lance.
it opens up a lot of doors for
A
him to
lot more
get even
possibilities
more
for that
unique
offense.
in the way they run that offense. It's just a matter of, I think the biggest question mark that is going to look to be answered is, where does the accuracy meet the arm strength? Because we
Yeah,
always know he has a very strong arm. It's just a matter of, okay, is
and
the accuracy going to be there? And
we can
I'm not
we
saying
can
it's a
discuss Trey Lance
concern,
all
but
day.
yeah, exactly.
We
That's
can we
not
can
what we're
discuss
here
Trey Lance
about.
all day. That's not what we're
We're
here to
here
do.
about
Granted,
Deebo and
it's a big part
what
of
he
what Deebo
brings to
is
the
going to
table.
do. You
Well,
know,
yeah, it's a big factor in what Deebo's performance is
I
going to
just
look like.
I just
But
think now adding Trey Lance with Deebo Samuel is going to make San Francisco 49er football on offense very, very interesting to watch. So,
absolutely.
we got anything else, Tim?
No, I mean, there's not much else to it. It's going to open up the opportunity for a very fun offense to watch, and it's going to be very interesting to see just how Deebo fits into all of it. But I mean, no matter what, a guy that talented is going to find a way to thrive in some way, shape, or form. It's just a matter of what, not how.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And not just the 49ers offense, but this football season is going to be very fun to watch. And it's rapidly approaching. The preseason is a week, two
Right
weeks
around the
away.
corner.
We're in training camp. So I can't wait for the regular season because we're going to be going full force along with the
You
NFL
know it.
regular season. But if you like our stuff, if you like what we do, we got tons of other sports, NFL, MLB, college basketball, college football, NHL, NBA, all of it and more. If you like
It's
it,
what
we
we do.
probably got it. It's what we do. So if you want more from us, like and subscribe. Until next time, and we out.